Well, so let's have the interaction. Please make sure that you add the hashtag TV3Newday as you go look for us. TV3 Ghana, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Let me say speedy recovery to you, the great Johnny Hughes. Been a bit under the weather the last day or two, and you'll recover strongly and be back. Yeah, he's not well. No, he's okay? Okay. Okay.
He went clubbing.
Okay. No, no, stop that. He's not well. All right. Edem Agbana. Yeah. He's the prospective parliamentary candidate. Presumptive parliamentary candidate. What's your constituency?
Ketu North.
Ketu North.
The next time I have to remind you of Ketu North.
It's not a reminder. I want you to assess your own constituency name.
We'll find it.
You find me. I'll pour libation. I'll pour libation. And then also draped in chieftaincy clothing throughout the whole of the last couple of weeks is Bernard Mona. Bernard Mona is known in private life as Bernard Mona, a former PNC chairman. You have a chieftaincy title?
BSNAP.
BSNAP. What does it mean? And for which area?
Chief.
Huh?
Youth chief.
Which area?
BMOBES across. BMOBES across Africa.
BMOBES across Africa.
So I'm an international chief.
I know BMOBES. There are some in Boko, Yendi.
That's within Ghana.
Okay.
But out of Ghana, you find them in Togo, Burkina Faso, Central African Republic.
Nice. That's also nice. We expect to be joined, representing the MPP's communication team, Sir Kasalia. He'll be joining us in due course. But in the meantime, let's have a conversation about the visiting Vice President of the United States of America. She has given a commitment of the U.S. to enable Ghana go through the processes of getting an IMF board approval. We already know that we'd had some discussion with China as well. The issue about LGBTQ has also come up. Let's get some insight from her, and the president will come back and speak to the subject of her visit.
My career has been to address human rights issues, equality issues across the board, including as it relates to the LGBT community. And I feel very strongly about the importance of supporting the freedom and supporting and fighting for equality among all people, and that all people be treated equally. I will also say that this is an issue that we consider, and I consider, to be a human rights issue, and that will not change.
The bill is going through the Parliament. It's going through the Parliament. The Attorney General has found it necessary to speak to the committee about it regarding the constitutionality or otherwise of several of its provisions, and the Parliament is dealing with it. At the end of the process, I will come in. But in the meantime, the Parliament is dealing with it. And I have no doubt that the Parliament of Ghana will show, as it's done in the past, first of all, its sensitivity to human rights issues, as well as to the feelings of our population, and will come out with a responsible response.
Now, let's have all these conversations. Adam, she's here. We know that the IMF is also at the center of the discussion. And then all these issues about LGBTQ right also comes up. What do you make of a visit and all these things coming up?
Well, let me say good morning to our cherished viewers across the world, especially to the good people of Ketu North. And let me use your platform to appreciate all the over 600 branch executives who came out in their numbers last week to escort me when I went to successfully file my nominations to be the next parliamentary candidate for the NDC in the Ketu North constituency. I truly appreciate them for their love and support that they gave me. And let me also use the opportunity to wish my boss, my brother and friend, Sami Jemfi, a happy birthday. Sami Jemfi's birthday is today, and I want to appreciate him for everything he does for the NDC and for Mother Ghana, and also everything he's done for me personally. He's a great friend. When I was a national executive, he was my closest associate, and he's someone I've learned so much from. And so I want to use your platform to wish Sammy Gyamfi the very best. And I'm saying this also on behalf of all the NDC grassroots members, people from Ketu North, people from Keta, everywhere, the likes of Philip Abochi and co. They really love Sammy Gyamfi, and so we celebrate him on his day. Roland.
Today is his birthday.
Yes, today is Sammy Gyamfi's birthday. Roland, the world, as we all know now, is a global village. And it's important for us to have collaborations aimed at resolving the very basic challenges that confront us. Issues of poverty, issues of providing quality healthcare, issues around education and what we can do to improve the quality of education in our country. And Ghana and the United States have had some very, very long-standing relationship for such a long time. And we have had former leaders of the United States visit Ghana, and I think that we've had a very good relationship with the United States and again with other countries. And so we welcome the visit of the Vice President of the United States to our country. I would want to believe that this visit should provide us an opportunity to engage more on how we can collaborate, or how our bilateral relationship with the United States can inure more to the benefit of the ordinary Ghanaian, so that these visits do not become only ceremonial and things that are felt right at the top of the political ladder. But for that poor young girl in a school in Sapsugu, or that poor boy from Ketu North or anywhere else in Ghana, should see something out of these visits. And so I want to believe that the discussions or conversations or the tour that she's embarking on will be something that should be beneficial to us, especially at a time where our economy is greatly challenged. And you know for a fact that where we are today, Ghana's economy has collapsed. Basically, we have no economy. We have issues with hyperinflation. We have issues with the fact that there is financial haircut. People cannot even secure their investments any longer, and all of that. And so we have had several challenges as a country economically. And so when we have the opportunity to engage or host the Vice President of the United States, we must look at how we can collaborate and see what they can do to help us at least weather the storm for a while until 2024, when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama comes back to rescue this country. Also very key is the issues of the soft democracy. I know for the United States, they are very much concerned about issues of rights, issues of equality, issues of promoting freedom and what have you. I want to believe that, Roland, over the past 6 years, since President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was sworn in, we have seen how, in some instances, members of the media or journalists were brutalized. We have seen how press freedom was really affected by how national security and assigns of this government have dealt with some media folks. We can make mention of what happened to the likes of Ahmed Swale and Edward Adeti and co. All of these people, these journalists. And so these are all issues that we must have conversations around and ensure that moving into the 2024 general elections, our President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, must make commitments towards ensuring that we must have peace. We must have a free and fair and credible elections. We must have elections that, at the end of the day, 8 souls will not be lost, and people will not be killed by men in uniform. Until today, none of these people have been dealt with. And so these are the soft side of the conversations, the soft democratic principles that we must be having on the table. I believe her visit is certainly good for us as a country because, like President Mahama said in his very short statement on Facebook, Ghana and the United States will continue to do a lot together. And I think that the United States has instituted a number of measures, and they have institutions here in our country that are doing so well in some areas. I think that just like we have done over the past a couple of years, in fact, since independence, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah maintained that our foreign policy is that we are non-aligned, but we see all other countries as development partners. And so I believe that this visit would afford the two presidents or the two leaders the opportunity to have conversations as to what we can do that will help us fight disease, what we can do together to improve the quality of education, and what we can do to fight poverty, so that even with the SDGs, by 2030, Ghana will make remarkable success or progress in achieving the various SDGs. So she's welcome. I happen to be one of the privileged people invited today to an event that she'll be hosting later this morning. And so right from your studio, I'll be there. I'll be going there. I think that is a good opportunity. And she's welcome to our beautiful country. Yezo.
Bernard Mona, key at the heart of this conversation is the subject of us now having all these discussions with the IMF. We know where the IMF and some of these Bretton Woods institutions sit. Also coming up is strongly all the trumpeted views about LGBTQ. What position should we take as a country?
Good morning to you. Good morning to my brother, Base, that you call Saka. And of course...
You call him Base?
He's called Base.
Base?
Base. And of course, you didn't know that. He's called Base. And to you, Edem Agwana, I wish you well in your parliamentary pursuits.
Thank you.
I know you are one of the very exciting and engaging young persons from your political party. I don't know the other contenders, and because I know you, and I think you can do the job of an MP, particularly stepping in the feet of Aveji.
Yeah, no worries.
I think that the constituency needs somebody who has also attained certain national clout, so that the image of the constituency is not drowned after Aveji eventually exits. I have mixed feelings. I have mixed feelings, particularly when it comes to the United States of America and its relationship with the rest of the world. I have very sad recollection of how our vice president dressed like Saka Salia, and probably Saka Salia is motivated by that, in a month that they, at the head of our nation, declared that it is Ghana month. How best could you have showcased Ghana when the Vice President of the United States of America was arriving? We should see that the welcome party from Ghana should have all been clothed in Ghana attire. Our Vice President was dressed suitly. And just yesterday, when I thought that at the presidency, the president would welcome him in our traditional regalia, our president was also suitably dressed. But for the fact of color and accent, and in the case of the president, it was very difficult to distinguish between the president of Ghana and somebody from the United States of America because of his accent. You will not see any difference that this has visited a country of rich culture, a country of great and essential memories. And I think that opportunities like this offer us as a nation the platform to market what we have. What prevented the president from wearing kente? What prevented the vice president from wearing kente? And you can see the vice president. Just see the vice president. You are unable to distinguish between him and the Americans.
Why is it important?
It's important because we are in Ghana month. Why do we say it's Ghana month? We eat, we dress, we sing, we dance. Everything of us must portray the month in which we got our independence, which independence enabled them to be at the helm of affairs. And so you cannot declare that and ask and coax us to go into dressing and eating and living like Ghanaians and Africans. And when you have opportunity to welcome dignitaries, there you are, putting on three-piece suits and putting on ties like threaded goods. It's not acceptable. I think that we must take ourselves seriously. And so the president too. Certainly, I'm saying that it just defies and defeats the essence of leadership. Let me put that aside and come to America and its relationship, particularly with Ghana. You can praise America for its contributions to Ghana, but I take it from this point, that somebody come and kills your father, marries your wife, and offers you goodies, and you say that he's a good parent.
So you're saying what you're talking about is cultural diplomacy?
Yes. It's non-existent in our leadership. It's non-existent. You can just see. So somebody comes and kills your father, right, Adam, marries your mother, and start showering you with cookies and what have you, then you get up and say that this man is a good man because your father used not to give you. You grow up to realize that indeed that person is a murderer. The United States of Ghana murdered Ghana and murdered Africa by their actions with the CIA in overthrowing the Osagifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and a big African agenda that was to liberate not only the people of this part of the world, but of course the entire African continent. We are still pained by that. We cannot forget the relationship, how Americans assisted in killing Patrice Lumumba, one of the verified African leaders. We cannot forget how America's participation led to the overthrow and killing of Sekou Touré of Guinea. We cannot forget the Americans' participation in the overthrow of Modibo Keita. And we cannot forget the American actions that led to what we describe as the African Che Guevara, Thomas Sankara. And of course, of recent, we cannot forget the role Obama and Hillary Clinton played in the overthrow and murder of President Gaddafi, whose crime was that he wanted to bring about economic salvation to the African people. He was working towards an African bank that we have been struggling for several years, that the internet, if you call it the satellite system that we used to pay in excess of 500 million every year to the United Kingdom and to Paris. All of a sudden, Gaddafi assisted Africa to have our own satellite system that enables communication among Africans without it routing through Paris or through London. All these things were seen as providing economic salvation for Africa, and therefore Gaddafi had to be killed. So when we are dealing with America, no matter what good things we are talking about, we must also be looking at these things that, look, we cannot forget our past, that you have contributed to deepen Africa in the current economic quagmire that we find ourselves. And it's important to note that. And so when they come here, we must see. Second or third is this issue of imposing on us their queer culture.
What do you mean by queer culture?
Queer culture, look, how do you see, Adam, as we sit here, you want a partner, right? You want a partner. Then you just look at this man with his dry head.
Instead of cooking tea.
Yeah, you see this man with his dry head and say that man to man. Or you see Saka and you say that you want to marry Saka. It's not acceptable in any part of our African culture.
According to their culture, sexuality is a choice.
Fantastic. So keep it in your culture. Keep it in your land. Why are you imposing it on other people that is not part of their culture? If you are a Ghanaian, you are a Nigerian, and you want to enjoy your homosexuality life, jump into the countries that will tolerate you. Within our culture, it's not permissible. I have not seen any African or black man in any of the Western countries jump in to say that you have to legitimize the issue of polygamous marriage. Because in their part, it's not acceptable. And you don't see blacks jumping and saying that because it's acceptable within our culture and our traditions, we want it to be a universal problem. or a universal solution so that men across the globe can decide that they can marry. Have you seen that being promoted anywhere? So why are they imposing on us what we consider as an abnormality? When people are abnormal, you grant them compassion. You want to heal them. And so where we sit in our cultural settings, we see homosexuality as an abnormality and that they need compassion and they need to be healed. We don't see it as a right. So for Kamala Harris to come and sit in Ghana and be telling us that homosexuality is a right, and President Akufo-Addo saying that we will consider those rights, President Akufo-Addo is running away.
Yesterday, I was monitoring comments on, especially on the mainstream and some social media platform. They said Ghana, and looking at the position of strength from which we can posit or make an argument, we really are not strong enough to make some of these comparisons.
Which comparison is that?
We're not economically
that
we're currently before
the IMF. And Kamala Harris visited Ghana.
We're begging countries to go and
Kamala Harris visited Ghana. She's offering $1 million for about 5 countries.
No, 100.
100?
Yes.
$1 million. Or
100 million.
100 million. For how many countries?
5.
5 countries.
You sure?
And it is not cash.
Technical.
It's for security.
Oh, fantastic.
Technical support.
I am happy that you are coming in because you'll be speaking after me. So I will also come in.
Oh, but I mean...
No.
Please, let's go on.
I will speak because I will not interject you.
So I was just correcting you.
Oh, you are providing information.
When you said 1 million, I gave you 100 million. It wasn't okay.
You are correcting me. Or you provided information.
Please,
okay,
can we go on? Can we go on, please?
Right. So, Russia in South Africa has cancelled the debts of African countries in excess of $20 billion. At this time of our economy, what do we need most? At this time of our economy, what do we need most?
Debt forgiveness.
Debt forgiveness? Or we need military and security support at this moment?
We need more money pumped into the economy.
That is so. And when they say they are going to pump in, it will come in the form of equipment and personnel.
Technical support.
And technical support. It is not that they are going to provide liquidity that will aid you out of your economic crisis. The current problems that is making our life a fiasco has to do with economy. And we don't see it that. I consider the Vice President as coming to do a tour and taking advantage to pummel President Akufo-Addo, who yesterday was incoherent in his pronouncement as to whether the...
So what do you mean by the president was incoherent yesterday?
You didn't see him fumbling in his speech? And when it came to the question and answer to homosexuality, play it and let everybody listen and see whether this is the same president that speaks eloquently and speedily. So obviously, the president was virtually dazed. A big boy or a big sister is there with the hammer, and you are asking the president, what does he think, particularly when she had responded that the issue of LGBTQIZK is a human rights issue, when in our part, it's an abnormality.
Mr. Saka, there's a key consideration that is generating a lot of conversation and opinion on social media about how the president doesn't seem to be forthright in making pronouncements publicly, whether it's at the international front, speaking with international media, or even locally. For example, yesterday he said his government is not the one who sponsored the bill, and some of those. There's even a controversy about the colors for which we had the Jubilee House draped in, seemingly softly trying to portray to the American government that, oh, everything is well, we're susceptible and also in line with some of the socio-cultural, socio-economic policy directions that you have globally.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, I mean, good morning to our cherished viewers and good morning to my brothers and yourself. First of all, I think that your assertion itself is premised on wrong footing. You just started by saying that we want to portray to the Americans of our receptiveness of accepting LGBT and all those things. First of all, I mean, let us not let some of this conjecture overshadow the real reason why she is here. I mean, we have to bask in the glory and take advantage and leverage on this visit. This visit is not just to come and then, you know, it's not a child's play. It's a serious visit that all of us as a nation, I mean, sitting here, there is that unanimity of the fact that we are facing challenges with our economy. And if you look at what is happening worldwide, I mean, the disruption of the world global supply chain, it affects almost invariably everything, every commodity. Our neighbors are suffering. The IMF themselves have told us that half of the world is with them, seeking support and all that. Now we have been presented with an opportunity of meeting, you know, one of, I mean, the greatest of the world players, you know, the vice president visiting us. And then we are talking about, you know, some peripheral things that do not even matter.
What do you mean by their peripheral?
They do not matter.
They are the heart of the socio-cultural and socio-economic well-being of the Ghanaian people.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the
he
things,
as leader, when he's making
is a figment of people's imagination. That, oh, the colors that were presented. I mean, is that not Ghana color? No, I mean, unless you are so obtuse to the extent that you don't even know the colors of Ghana. To the extent that we are choosing a form of a substance. My brother was saying, oh, we should have worn some local dress to let them see what. I mean, those things can be done at any time. We can portray who we are as Ghanaians anytime. It's not about when the U.S. vice president is visiting Ghana, we have to go and then take Batakali and show her that this is our culture. She knows it. They've read about Ghana. I mean, this is not a fair. Even the president itself, I mean, the United States presidents over the years have been visiting Ghana. Remember Clinton, we remember George Bush, W. Bush, we remember Obama and all that. So if you look at this visit, it goes a long way to tell us one thing, that Ghana is still out there as one of the biggest players when it comes to the African continent. Hardly will you see a U.S. president visiting Africa, an African country, without, you know, adding Ghana to the whole arrangement. We have seen it over the years, and it has not abated. Even when it is their vice president that is visiting Africa, Ghana is said to be the first country that they visit. It cannot be by accident. There is a reason. There is a clear and unambiguous reason for
What's
that.
the reason?
One of the reasons is that we have had, we and the United States of America have been friends for a very long time. They feel more comfortable dealing with Ghana. They feel more comfortable using Ghana as their gateway to Africa. And the fact that if you look at Ghana, I mean, Adam was, you know, making all sorts of allegations, unverifiable ones, about the fact that, oh, I mean, there is no peace, a killing of one of their slogans, killing of some general. I don't know what they are talking about, and all those things. But in all this, if you look at the World Peace Index, Ghana, you know, is out there as either number 1 or number 2. We have never moved away from either number 1 or number 2. So, in terms of peace, cohesion, and you know, human rights, Ghana is always out there. And the U.S. themselves have described Ghana as pillar of democracy. And democracy is a system that everybody have come to accept in the world. And we are a leading example when it comes to democracy. And the U.S. vice president or the U.S. president could not have chosen a better country to start the tour than Ghana, because of the positives that we have shown over the years, our ability to coexist with all facets of a people, all race, and all that. That is the reason why when Bernard is talking about that the president was fumbling, how was the president fumbling? How was the president fumbling? The president was very coherent. He was up to the task, and he showed that indeed we accept all people with varied rights. Let me tell you, I abhor homosexuality. I abhor it. But if I'm a president today, I will behave like what Nana Akufo-Addo behaving. You cannot say that somebody, because somebody is a homosexual, let's go and then kill the person. So that is the right. That
Nobody has said that the homosexual should be killed.
Yes, yes, I accept that.
You are the only one saying
no, I'm not the only one.
Nobody has said. Nobody here has said homosexual.
We are talking of human rights, which is inalienable.
We are talking about
that right. You cannot divide that right.
That is true.
And Nana Akufo-Addo is an adherent of that. And because I have not heard anywhere that Nana Akufo-Addo has even got people on to do homosexuality. He has always said that it will not happen under his watch. He has said it time and again. But detractors, once again, would not, let...
Who are the detractors?
I mean, those, we know them. I mean, even here, Bernard is a detractor, he is a detractor. We know them. I mean, let us not belabor the point. You see? They are one of his strongest critics. When there are positives, they want it to look negative and all that. But I'm saying that in this particular issue...
You don't think the president has shied away from making categorical statements on the position of his government on the issue of LGBT?
What the president said is what the president said is a statement of fact. That what is before Parliament is a private motion bill sponsored by some MPs and all that. Because it doesn't involve the finances.
What's your interpretation of what the president said?
No, what the president says is that the government is still, the government as it is now have still not come to that conclusion. That indeed, what the motion before...
Saka, be careful the way you are talking.
No. Because it's not sponsored by government.
Yes, I know he said
yes.
That, but
why it's not sponsored by government is not. It means because if you look at our our laws,
Mr. Saka, my question to
criminalized. That act is already.
Why is it the president has been all throughout his interaction with the international media and even locally and presently, as we have the vice president of the US here, being non-categorical on his position, his government's position on LGBTQ.
When you say that the president should be categorical, you are telling us that there's a gray area that we need clarity. There is no any gray area when it comes to homosexuality. Indeed, if you look at our laws criminalize homosexuality. If you look at the Criminal and Other Offences Act 104, having unnatural carnal knowledge with another person is criminal. And therefore, if our laws are clear on this, why do you want the president to bring clarity? Which clarity again?
All right.
So in fact, like I said, I don't want some of these side issues to subsume.
You think they are red herrings?
They are. The real issues beforehand now is, one, we all know the problems that confront us now. We want our bilateral partners to help us restructure our debts. We want the United States government, and of which they themselves have accepted to do, that they will help us talk to the IMF, our bilateral partners, to ensure that we get out of this quagmire. Quagmire that is confronting us. So if we as a nation, and we think that we love this nation, and there is an issue like this, there is a personality like this who have arrived in Ghana to help us solve our problems, we cannot talk about this.
She's not here to help solve our problems.
No, but she's listening.
If she was there, won't be going to China.
No, she's listening. No, they are helping even the China. Right. She herself has said that they will help talk to China for us to get a way out of this problem. So what is our problem?
Yes. And but the related issue about how she has been very categorical about the economic difficulties we're facing.
Yes.
And how the United States of America and its government is willing to help us out. I think that's very succinct.
Yes, but let me get back to the issue of the LGBTQ. Roland, all over the world, leaders are defined by their principles. Leaders are defined by the virtues they stand for and the virtues they are able to defend. What we have today is a leader who has no principles, a leader who is afraid to be forthright on a matter of national concern. Whether or not the bill before Parliament for consideration is being sponsored by 1 or 2 MPs, the President described them as a few people.
True or false?
Whether or not that bill is even coming from Sam George, an individual alone. This is a matter of national and international interest. Until today, the only public pronouncement of our first gentleman, the President of the Republic, is the statement he made in an interview where he said, it is bound to happen. Aside that, there is no reference to any statement.
Let me correct you. He said it is bound to happen if there is the sum of mass public opinion.
And so what we have today,
you think it's a genesis towards that?
So he attached, let's assume, okay, Roland, Saka, I think it's important. When you were talking, you made a lot of inaccurate statements, but I kept quiet and listen to you, so it's important to give me that. Yes, but so you are trying to distract me. So Roland, let's even assume that what the president said, the conditionalities that he attached to that statement, is anything to go by. What we have today is that you have a mass, members of parliament, religious organizations, and a cross-section of Ghanaians
and civil society
organizations who have publicly said that let the governments come out and make a statement on this issue. And what we have is a subtle attempt by the government to promote LGBTQ without necessarily stating their position on it.
Oh, how?
Roland,
how is that?
I am not colorblind. When I was a kid,
when the president
says
that,
listen, Roland, I know I did terrible as an art student. Then we call it either pre-tech or vocational skills or whatever. I know I did terrible. But this morning, driving by the Jubilee House, as they call it, the Flagstaff House, those colors I saw cannot be said to be Ghana and the United States colors. Please, we are not colorblind. The president and his team, if you want to promote LGBTQ, properly state your position. Stop running away from the issue and be cowardice about this particular matter. Look at these colors.
This is not LGBTQ.
How are these colors Ghana and United States? We don't know. Has the Ghana colors been changed? All we are saying is that President Mills, of blessed memory, when it came to the issue of LGBTQ, he stated his position publicly. And everyone acknowledged that this was the position of President John Evans Atta Mills. Under President Mahama, whenever this issue came up, he stated the position of the country, of his government. But what we have today is a president who is unable to state his position. What is the position of the vice president on this issue? Vice President Dr. Bawumia. What is the position of even President Akufo-Addo and all the people running for parliament? And you allow these MPs fighting this alone in parliament, then you give them out to the United States and said, it's a few people who are fighting and what have you. And please, we need to know the position of the president. This, depending on where he stands, flip-flopping, changing his position on the matter cannot be a sign of good leadership. Look, even when you are a leader and you must take a position that is unpopular and defend it, you must be willing to do it. What we have today is that President Akufo-Addo has refused to categorically state his position on the issue of LGBTQ. And that is not leadership. And that is failed leadership. That is a man of no principles. And he cannot be the first gentleman of the land.
Bernard, it's okay.
I wanted to conclude on the economy.
No.
Is it Bernard? Roland, sorry.
You've wasted all your time on it.
Roland, 1 minute.
No,
Roland.
No minute.
Roland.
Roland,
what are the IMF?
Bernard, I have to go for a break.
Okay,
Relax.
okay, so you get to it. But I'll come back to it. Yes.
You know, a leading legal practitioner just sent me a question. It says, and it's very rhetorical. Your laws criminalize something you're about to criminalize. And the United States is asking questions, and you don't tell them it is already criminal.
They should ask him. He made that pronouncement.
I mean, that's
he was quoting section 104 of the.
This is a disaster.
Bacana knowledge and.
They understand.
The criminal and other offenses.
And you cannot be an astute lawyer or a student of law than President Akufo-Addo.
That's true.
Right. And therefore, the president should say that our laws have already criminalized this. It's not an issue of concern to the people of Ghana. President Uhuru Kenyatta, when Barack Obama visited Kenya and brought the issue of the rise of LGBTQZYK,
The alphabet.
what did he say? Uhuru Kenyatta just responded that, my brother, the people of Kenya are suffering from other human rights issues, including lack of access to education, poverty, hunger, and healthcare, and listed a whole. And said, these are the human rights challenges that confront the people of Kenya, and we are concerned about that. What you are talking about is not a concern for the people of Kenya. Uhuru Kenyatta looked into his brother's face and told him plain and plain, President Akufo-Addo, and if you know the America's modus operandi.
What's their modus operandi?
Look, America can just sit down and profile you as a terrorist and pick you before anybody can know you are in Guantanamo Bay, the island in Cuba. You are there, and then they will profile you and come and tell people the kind of person that you are. How do they do that? They go into countries and pick up people who are simply not for them. President Akufo-Addo got an opportunity to speak and said, no. Government has not sponsored any bill in Parliament. It is some few individuals who have sponsored this bill. So in effect, what it means is that President is saying that America, if you are looking for people that are anti the alphabets, go and start looking for those individuals and deal with them.
That's your inference.
No, because it is not the first time President is inviting the United States of America to deal with persons that are seen to be going contrary to Americans' prescriptions. That is how come he went and talked about the Wagner Group in Burkina Faso and was asking Anthony Blinken to do something about it. Yesterday, if you hear the question from the New York Times, they are saying that Al-Qaeda presence in Ghana, President is saying that we don't know about it. Do you know the thinking that is going there? So that they can come and say that we have spotted Al-Qaeda elements within your country. And President was there giving our people out. You know, I feel very sad. When you talk about economic salvation, I'm saying that Russia, knowing that the problem of Africa is debt, went ahead to cancel Africa's debt in excess of $20 billion.
We're told that they were placating us.
You understand? No. Russia has never invaded any part of Africa. They have never done any atrocious thing against any African country. All they have done is to support the economic being of African countries. Give me one country that you can. I've listed from Nkrumah to Modibo Keita to Sekou Touré to Gaddafi to Thomas Sankara, and the list is endless of America's involvement in torpedoing Africa's growth agenda. Give me one country that Russia has done that. It's non-existent. They, knowing very well that we have economic crisis, they are not saying that they are going to deal with our bilateral partners, because Russia is very proximate to China than the United States of America. And yet, Russia said, look, what you owe us, we have cancelled $20 billion. The United States of America comes and did not cancel any debt by saying that they are going to talk to our bilateral partners. Who is your friend?
Well, when you listen to the geopolitical analysts of the world, they'll tell you that it's because other African countries and their leaders have had varied positions on the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So that's why. But let me just give you 2 minutes because I have to go for a break. Then I'll come.
First of all, I don't really get them clear. I mean,
you mean the two of them?
Yeah, I don't get them clear.
Or the public opinion out there?
The debate here.
Okay.
I don't get them clear.
You think it's...
They talk as if America is not a friend, or over the years America have not done anything for us.
No one said that.
You see, yeah, if you have not said that, why are you, he made that clear, that he doesn't even understand the visit, and that America should be our enemy, because America helped kill Gaddafi and all those things. Let me tell you, I mean, our Millennium Challenge accounts that was given, I mean, Ghana had the largest.
Nobody has any difficulty.
Yes, if you don't have any, apart from even that, look at Agua.
Why are they not able to say that to the Saudis?
Yes, I am saying
Qataris,
that. I am saying that
the
over the years.
Emirates.
He is saying that Russia gave some money to or
even Southern Africa. They are not able to tell South Africa.
The United States have their own term with Ghana. They have their own timeline that they use. They cannot just come just because Russia has cancelled somebody and okay, let's also do it. But let me go to what they were talking about, the president. Look, like I told you, there is no any gray area when it comes to,
so why don't the president just tell them that, look, this is already illegal, so forget about it.
They know it.
Who and who knows what?
They know it. Those questioning, those asking the questions, because they know our law. Our law, the law itself is not something that is in secret. Before they ask the question, they know what is there. So I'm saying, Amanda, I'm saying that if you look at our law, it's our law homosexuality. The president made that clear. What is in Parliament? What is in Parliament is that it's being sponsored by individual. But when you said that please.
No law.
Rhoda, you are listening to him. When he said that, Professor Mills, made his point clear, and that John Dramani Mahama also made his case clear. I think that you are picking and choosing who made his case clear.
All right, can we get the insight of the president right there?
Let me end.
The law,
let me end this point.
according to the leading lawyer,
made it clear that not
according to the leading lawyer, the law he refers to only criminalizes penile penetration of anything other than a vagina. You know vagina?
Yes. No, I don't know.
It does not criminalize lesbianism.
You don't know him.
That is, women don't have penis to penetrate. And the dozens of new forms of sexual orientation collectively labeled as LGBTQ, etc. or at all. That's why his country is bent on criminalizing LGBTQ, and his Attorney General has approved that bill for passage.
Yeah, but it has not been passed.
We're taking a break.
It's not a law. But you see, no, let me end with the position of the president.
Please play the president and go for a break. When we come back, the former president, John Dramani Mahama, has gone through a vetting process. We were told that it was under 1 hour. But what does he bring to the table? And how is he going to fare among his competitors? Or alongside his competitors? We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll have all these matters being considered.
Through the Parliament, the Attorney General has found it necessary to speak to the committee about it regarding the constitutionality or otherwise of several of its provisions, and the Parliament is dealing with it. At the end of the process, I will come in. But in the meantime, the Parliament is dealing with it. And I have no doubt that the Parliament of Ghana will show, as it's done in the past, first of all, its sensitivity to human rights issues, as well as to the feelings of our population, and will come out with a responsible response.